This is Housebound. I'm Chris.
I'm Holly.
I'm Ashlynn.
I'm Greg.
And you're invited.
Welcome to Housebound, a podcast we made because we needed company. In it, we talk about things that are on our mind. And today, I'm going to be talking about a topic that I'm super excited about. If you know me, you might know this about myself, that I am excited about this. I'm going to be talking about reasons you should have a library card. Library cards are for the cool kids these days.
For real, though.
Having fun isn't hard when you've got a library card.
Yeah. Exactly. And by the end of this episode, you're going to be doubling down on that statement. So one thing I will say as a precursor to all of this before I begin is obviously the four of us live in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and so I'm going to be referencing specifically the items and programs that the Saskatoon Public Library has available. Those might be and probably will be slightly different if you're not in Saskatoon as to what your local library might offer. However, if there's something here that sparks your interest, maybe check it out and your local library might have it. And if they don't, feel free to send them a recommendation that maybe this is a program or an item that they should consider putting into circulation, because libraries are always looking for new and exciting ideas. So maybe you can start something new where you live. But we're going to be specifically talking about the Saskatoon Public Library and the kind of services and catalog items that they have. And I had a lot of fun on the library website.
Oh boy.
Getting ready for this. Most of them I knew before. As a library connoisseur, most of them I knew before. But there was a couple items that I didn't know that the library had. So there's something for everybody, even the library connoisseurs out there.
It's a mystery.
So you're telling me that there's more to having a library card than going and checking out books and 19 seasons of NCIS on DVD.
Well, and I would say for even some people, they wouldn't even know about the NCIS. That would have been a bonus.
That's already a new revelation to some.
Fair.
Yeah. So you just blew a few people's minds there, Chris.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, there's more than just books and internet cafe services. So I'm going to start us off with a quick game. Before everybody gets primed on all the stuff that the library has, we're going to play a quick game of two truths and a lie. I have three things here that I'm going to mention that the library might offer. Two of them are available either as an in-house item that you can borrow while you're at the library or as something you can take home or use somewhere else. And so two of them are stuff that the library has and one of them the library doesn't have. And if you want it, you should send in a recommendation. And then we'll all guess as to which one you think is the lie. So here they are. A green screen, a sewing machine, and a gym pass. Two of those things the library has that you can use, and one of them it doesn't. What do you think? A green screen, a sewing machine, and a gym pass.
I want to say gym pass, but the only gyms I can think about are in the same building as a library, like as part of like a center that has like a gym and a swimming pool and a library. So I don't think that counts as being part of the library. But I do know that libraries have like rooms where you can do like cool like there might be like an audio room for recording something or like a video room for watching something for a class. So I'm gonna say that it's probably the gym pass that's the odd thing out that the library doesn't offer itself. That's my guess.
Yeah, that was going to be my guess too. I don't know why I think a library would have a sewing machine. It just seems like something really useful for people. Not that a gym pass isn't useful for people, but still my guess, I guess.
All right, Greg, what do you think?
I would probably guess the gym pass, but that's mostly just because like that's, yeah, like going to the gym is something that people like pay for annually. So, I mean, the library could do it. They could just be like, hey, this is to encourage fitness and stuff. So feel free to borrow a 1 week gym pass or, or 2 weeks or whatever. So, yeah, I'll probably stick with the gym pass just because I don't want to go out on a limb on my own. So,
all right, tripling down on the gym pass.
Yep.
And you are incorrect.
Wrong. Oh, all right.
Really?
Through the library, you can rent a family pass for 1 week to the YMCA.
Oh, that's dope.
Sweet.
So you can go swimming, take classes, use their fitness center that they have there at the YMCA, and rent that as a full family pass. The library also you can access a Canon PowerShot camera, tripod, and green screen from the library, but you cannot use a sewing machine. I mean, you can bring your own, but
yeah.
So I feel like that's a recommendation that we should give to the library, to have a sewing machine on loan.
And do sewing classes. I bet you that would be super helpful for the world.
Oh, yeah.
I love that they have a Canon PowerShot. Like, that's like the $90 cameras that you can get from Visions Electronics.
But perfect for a grade 9 school project.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah. Just the lowest quality camera I can think of. But is the YMCA thing, the pass, is that for like I know that the city, and again, I'm referencing Saskatoon, but I know the city has free, what is the name for the centers that have like the pools and everything in them? Facilities?
They're often connected to a leisure center.
Leisure centers, yeah. Mm-hmm. They have like, the city itself has programs for low-income families where you can apply and get a free 1 year pass for like the adults and the kids. Is there a restriction to that for the library, or is it just you can do it for a week and then you can't do it again for a year, or you can do it every week if nobody else has it? Or
probably.
I think this is just to try to get people to try something new. Maybe if you you're not necessarily a low income family, you're just not sure if you would ever go to the gym or something like that. But you can rent this for a week and just give it a shot.
Because the thing is, you wouldn't be able to rent it like week after week necessarily. It's like a DVD that you have to return it. Eventually it'll go back on the shelf. So if you happen to be there when it's back on the shelf, then you could maybe pick it up. But yeah.
Cool.
Oh, that's neat.
That's very cool.
Awesome. So I think what the Two Truths and a Lie game taught us is that there is more to learn about the services that the library offers.
We walked right into that one.
Excited.
You sure did. All three of you.
Buckle up, folks. It's going to be a long episode.
All right. Without further ado, reasons why you should have a library card. Da-da-da-da. I feel like we should have a theme song there. Yeah. So the first reason why you should have a library card is it's free. So there are a number of services that the library has that do cost money, such as renting meeting rooms and things like that. However, I haven't included those on this list, so everything that I'm going to mention is free through the Saskatoon Public Library. Obviously, I think when most people think of the library, they think of borrowing books.
I know, I do.
Yeah. Which obviously the library has, fiction and nonfiction. But there's also different sort of like special interest books. The library actually has a fairly large selection of cookbooks that you can rent.
Oh.
So if you're trying out a special diet, I know I tried a FODMAP diet for a while for some tummy issues that I was having, and I rented a huge swath of FODMAP specific cookbooks from the library to get some recipe ideas. Because a lot of time when I was looking online, they'd have one or two on their blog and then say like, but refer to my book for more. And the library would have it. Another thing is in the books section is comic books and sheet music. The library has rentable sheet music books. So if there's something you'd want to try, the theme to Phantom of the Opera on the piano, feel free.
Nice.
We rented music books when I was a kid quite regularly because all of us kids either played piano at one point and or at at another point I played guitar, and so the books usually were fairly simple. They had left and right hand stuff for piano, but then they would also have chords for the guitar. Well, I guess maybe also for the piano, but you could use those for the guitar. Typically that's how sheet music reads, and so I would just go back to the library, go to the fine arts section, and peruse and find like the one that had all the Disney songs in it, and I would borrow that from the library, and I'd like play Disney songs for a week on my guitar, and it just the chords, but like the songs in your head, so you could sing along or whatever you do just for fun. So that was something that's a thing about the library that doesn't faze me, that I feel as though others may be unaware of, that it offers, like we're talking about right now. But for me, that's completely normal because I utilized that quite a bit as a kid. So
yeah, I never actually found out that the library had sheet music until after high school, for sure.
Oh, that's lame for you, because you played instruments in high school.
Yeah. And they have some really fun stuff. Like movie soundtracks or famous artists. Or I was into like trying to learn jazz at the time, so I got out a lot of jazz books.
I was definitely more into the comic books than the music sheets as a kid. That's what we tended to bring out. I think that's the only reason why I read so many Ultimate Spider-Man and other Ultimate Universe comics. And yeah, it was great.
100%.
Yeah.
I am also in that camp. Lots of manga from the library.
Yeah. Nice. So there's two other segments that I have under the book category that are more special item book items. So let me know if you've let me know if you knew previously that the library had these services. So the first one is a book club in a bag. So you can rent from the library. They have swaths of these, multiple copies of the same book that one person can loan. And you get those out for 6 weeks. So if you're trying to do a book club with a bunch of friends, but getting them all out from the library at the exact same time and dealing with returns and stuff like that is just too confusing, you can just have one person go to the library, pick up the whole stacks of books, and they're just under their name. And you can borrow those for a 6-week period to do a book club. And they have,
that's cool.
Like I mentioned, they have a ton of those.
Yeah. I was going to say, which books are they, and why are they all The Girl on the Train?
Yeah. They have more than just that, but that's probably on the list. They also have RPG in a bag. And so that comes with either, they have 2 different versions of D&D and 1 version of Pathfinder. And it comes with all of the dice that you'll need, as well as a screen for the Game Master.
What?
Interesting.
I want to do
cool.
So, did you guys know about either of those?
No. That's
I only
super
knew because
cool.
of you,
Well,
Ashlynn.
the book club one, but not the D&D stuff.
Yeah, you can now get RPG in a bag from the library. If it's
cool.
out, you can put a hold on it online and it'll come to the library that's closest to you.
That's dope.
What's the wait period for a hold like that? Because some of those RPGs can take, well, I mean, they could take forever depending on how long you decide to do them.
I'm not sure, but I'm sure you could contact the library and ask them how many people are on the list, because they know that sort of information.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, yeah, maybe give it a shot. The next thing that the library has is digital media. And this is like physical digital media is what I'm talking about. So they have TV shows and movies, as well as CDs if you're thriving in 2007. And a ton of video games if you're not familiar with that. So Switch games, Xbox games, PlayStation games, Wii U games, like 3 Wii games.
Yeah.
They usually get rid of some of the older stuff, but they try to keep whatever's current. And if your specific library doesn't have a great selection of video games, request a hold online, and they have tons of copies, and you'll be able to get one.
All of the kinds.
Yeah. I was just going to say, yeah, like essentially, like if you're a branch, it might not actually have a huge amount of selection of what you're looking for. Or there's like a new game that like just came out on your console that you're like, I really wish that I could try this, but it's like $80 and I don't know if it's worth it. Yeah, just putting that hold, because the library usually will pick up on those new games pretty quickly. So,
oh, yeah. No, they've already committed to X number of copies
Yeah.
of Mario Kart Golf or Mario Golf. You
Yeah.
know, that one.
Yeah. Mario Kart Golf.
That would be an
fun.
interesting game.
Yeah.
This might be something that you decide to touch on a little bit later. But when I was young, the Saskatoon Public Library system could communicate with each other quite easily, and could also communicate with small towns and other cities. You know, I'm not sure what kind of complexity was included with that, but I do know that they could communicate with them. And so if you wanted something that didn't exist within the Saskatoon system, you could just go to one of the librarians and they would look it up in their back end system, see if it was anywhere that they had access to, and you could do what was called at that point an interlibrary loan. And I imagine it's the exact same thing nowadays, although there's a lot more digital media. And by digital, I mean non-physical digital, like internet digital.
Yeah.
And so you have the option to either source that material yourself or just, people might just rent it or download it from the different services that the library has available. But my very first expanded Star Wars universe graphic novel that I ever read as a kid was a Boba Fett graphic novel, and the interlibrary loan that I got it from, the barcode it was so cool because the barcode was different on the book.
Yeah.
And there was a different library like sticker and color on the stamp that was on the inside, and it was I'm trying to for the life of me remember where it was from. I think it was from I want to say it was from Nova Scotia or something like that. It was way far away.
Oh, wow.
And it came in this little like like a weatherproof bag because it had to be shipped for so long. And it took a few weeks to get to me, but I had no idea that this was the case. I just found it in the system and put it on hold, and it showed up a few weeks later, and it was from, the opposite end of the country that I'm on. And that was super cool. Like that was just a novelty for some reason as a kid. So that's kind of like what you're saying about how like if they don't have it, ask the librarian and they might be able to find it for you, because literally they have access to other accounts and systems that you're not privy to. So
Yeah. So through the Saskatoon Public Library, you have access to almost everything that the province has. So if it's somewhere in Saskatchewan, they'll get it to you, and generally there's not any sort of special approval process for that. There's a few exceptions, but not very many. And yeah, you can get stuff from other provinces. You just need a specific librarian's sign off on something like that. But I think it's now switched to mostly a digital form, saying like, hey, I'd really want a copy of this. And then they'll either source it for you or say, sorry, we can't do that.
Soundstripe.com is a royalty-free music licensing site that boasts an enormous collection of not just music, but premium quality stock video and studio-grade sound effects, perfect for any creative project you're working on. With over 200 new songs alone being added to the site each month, Soundstripe's commitment to quality ensures that you'll be getting the best selection of music every time you search. Try it for free today. And when you're ready to get creative, receive 10% off your first monthly or annual subscription when you use our unique promo code Housebound10 at checkout. That's Housebound10. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. So now we get to digital media that isn't physical. Purely digital media.
on the cloud.
Yes. And so mostly that happens through apps. And there are a number of apps that the library has access to. I'm just going to list a few that are on the list there that are the most commonly used ones. The first one is Hoopla. And Hoopla and Canopy are pretty similar apps that it has access to. So through Hoopla, you can get rentable movies, TV shows, books, and audiobooks. Yeah. I think
and
it's
comics.
Most commonly, and comics, yeah. I think it's most commonly used for audiobooks. Based on their homepage, it seems to be really what they're pushing at you. But you can also get all sorts of different media. And then for ebooks, your best bet is to use Overdrive or Libby. Both of those apps use the exact same library. They're just different apps to be able to access it depending on what device you're using. And through the Overdrive catalog, there's tons of free ebooks that you can request. With those, there's only a certain number of ebooks that someone can have out at a time, so you might go on a waiting list. But I've had a number of times where I've searched up a book on Overdrive, and if they don't happen to have it in their library, you can request it with a click of a button. And I would say about 50% of the items I've requested, they've purchased within a month.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
So if there's an item that they don't have, just click the request button. And if like X number of people want to see that item, they'll buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I think Libby is like the refreshed, more user-friendly version of Overdrive, if I remember correctly. They kind of gave it a bit of a facelift, and we're like, yeah, it's just a little bit
But it accesses
easier.
the same catalog.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
started using them recently because I go through, like when I'm at work, I can listen to like 2 audiobooks a week, basically. If they're shorter ones. I like the longer ones because it lasts all week. But so I needed to stop buying them. So I was like, okay, the library has audiobooks. Let's try to find them there. And I could not figure out Overdrive for the life of me. And when I went to Libby, I was like, oh, I can actually make this play and it's not just a sample.
Yeah.
This is much better. Yeah. So that's what I use now. And I use it every day at work. It's crazy.
So the other one that the library has is LinkedIn Learning. It used to go by a different name, but they've transitioned over to LinkedIn Learning. And through LinkedIn Learning, you can sign in through your library card and have access to a ton of different courses, educational courses, everything from how to learn guitar to marketing. Unfortunately, it's not tied to your LinkedIn account. So if you're trying to get badges or whatever LinkedIn uses to signify that you've taken their course, it's just tied to your library card, but you still get to keep the knowledge.
You've still bettered yourself.
Exactly. The next reason why you should have a library card is the library has quite a large catalog of local history and archives. So through that, if you're doing research on a local business or a local neighborhood, they have photos and newspapers, as well as a large category of obituaries that they can search through. And they have obituaries back to 1932.
Wow. That's crazy.
So if you're planning on doing some family history digging or looking around, that could be a really great resource for you.
Is that on like microfiche or?
Yeah, they do have a microfiche reader that they have access to there.
That's cool.
There was a specific article that I was looking for from the mid 2000s from a newspaper, and I didn't know exactly what date, but I was able to pop into the library and just ask someone like, hey, I'm looking for all of the Star Phoenix newspapers from this date to this date, and they just brought me the whole box, and I was able to go through the microfilm myself.
Yeah, that's super nice. That's cool.
Yeah. It was also really cool to use a microfilm reader.
Yeah. Yeah. And also feels like a movie.
Yeah, and it's also really fun when you have to request something that they have in the building, but not on the shelves. And then they have to use their little elevator that is only big enough for like a box or 2 of books.
What?
And you only ever see it used once in a blue moon. But yeah, it's really fun. And you're pulling something up out of the archives that hasn't been looked at in who knows forever because it's been stored down there. That's pretty fun.
I'm sorry. I have a vision right now as you're talking about this of you going up to the desk and asking the librarian for what you need, and then them putting in a little request, and then the box coming up on a little elevator.
Basically, yeah.
Who lives down there to put the box on there?
They have elves down there.
What?
Sometimes they go down there if it's a slow enough day. Like usually the libraries I've gone to when I had done that in the past, there's like a handful of librarians there. One person's sorting return materials. Somebody's checking in those return materials. Somebody else is shelving books. And so then they just pull one of those people and they just go down and, within a couple of minutes they found it because it's all cataloged.
So it's not like there's one person that just stays down there all the time
Sits
waiting
down there.
all day for people to request items.
If you
I'm
do
guessing
look
not.
carefully, though, you'll see that the person who goes down has pointed ears.
Oh dear.
I mean, that would be the best because of all the fantasy novels that are in the library.
Yeah.
That would literally be the best place to hide.
So the next category of reasons why you should have a library card is they have a bunch of what they call STEAM kits, and STEAM is that acronym for science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And some of these are the ones that I didn't even know that they had. So there's the newest one, the newest STEAM kit that they recently bought. I just returned. I absolutely loved it. And it was their birding backpack.
What?
I rented the birding backpack, which comes with a series of books all about birds local to the area and a fancy schmancy pair of binoculars.
You're the coolest person I know.
And so it has recommended places to go and things to look for around Saskatoon. And then you get to bring your binoculars with you with this like fancy chest pack that the binoculars go into so that you can be in ultimate nerd mode. Greg and I went out to Beaver Creek and we took it camping with us. It was so much fun.
Oh,
Greg
wow.
would be sporting the backpack full of books about birds, and I would have the binoculars strapped to my chest, ready to whip out when I see something flying by. And it was fun. It was super fun. I really enjoyed it.
Greg, did you enjoy it with your backpack full of books hiking?
It was pretty light. There wasn't
Okay.
like birding books are very small because they need to be carried with you wherever you go.
Yeah.
If you are a bird connoisseur. So yeah, it was pretty light. It was fine. But yeah,
That's good.
every so often we'd have to stop and Ashlynn would have to look at that bird in the distance or try to track a bird that's flying, but was like, nope, I can't do it. So it's moving too
It
fast.
was really fun.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I very much enjoyed it. And they also have, the library has a series of other loanable STEAM kits, but mostly for kids. So they have an Osmo, a Codapillar, and a Makey. But all of those are technology-based things teaching kids either to code or to be able to make music with little electrodes and attach it to stuff around their house, stuff like that. But they also have a lot of in-library STEAM kits. And they have tons of stuff for kids, but they also have a few things for teens and adults as well, which includes they have a MacBook Pro complete with the whole Adobe Creative Suite that you can use while you're at the library. They have, as I mentioned before, that camera with a tripod and a green screen that you can use at the library. They have a Yamaha mixing console and mic if you wanted to record some music or record a podcast.
That's cool.
They have a Raspberry Pi computer if you're trying to learn how to code, as well as a button maker.
A button maker? That's dope.
If you want to make some little buttons, they're like those pin style buttons. So if there's a piece of art or a piece of a magazine that you really want to turn into a button, just visit the library.
That is so not something that I thought would be at the library.
I almost put that under the two truths and a lie.
Yeah.
Button maker, yes. Sewing machine, outrageous.
Yeah.
Yep.
Follow-up question. Is there only one microphone? Because could we just go and record a podcast there? That'd be super fun to do an episode in the library.
Yeah, that would be
All
fun.
it said online was the Yamaha mixing console and mic, and then it just had a photo of what the Yamaha mixing console looks like. So I'd have to call the library and ask them for more details on that. And unfortunately, some of these are unavailable right now due to COVID. They have some of their innovation labs closed down, but they're in the process of opening up, so it might be available in the near future.
Are these things only available at certain library buildings?
Yes, there's only about I think 3 of the libraries in Saskatoon have an innovation lab room, and so that's where a lot of these pieces of equipment are. So you'd need to go to that specific branch in order to access the pieces of equipment that are there.
Gotcha.
But all of these are in Saskatoon specifically.
Cool.
The next thing that you can access, and reasons why you should have a library card, is their discovery passes. So this is a pretty new thing to the library. They launched this, I want to say about a year ago, but it might be 2 years ago. And that includes a family pass to the Remi Modern Art Gallery in Saskatoon, a family pass to the Western Development Museum, and, as I mentioned before in Two Truths and a Lie, a family pass to the YMCA.
That's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Which I can't really see myself ever using the Western Development Museum one for some reason, but I could totally see myself accessing the family pass to the Remi Modern or the YMCA.
You don't like the Western Development Museum?
I don't think it's that I don't like it. It's like I've been there too many times recently.
That's fair.
For different events.
It's pretty cheap, that one, to get into.
It really is.
So, like, yeah, a pass for it probably isn't as useful. I guess if you're taking your whole family, it might be worth it for the money.
Yep.
I can definitely see stuff like that being really fun for, let's say you've got your cousin staying with you for a week, or a niece or a nephew. Being able to go to the library and rent one of these things to have fun for a week could be, really fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
The next reason why you should own a library card is the library has gaming rooms. And they're really cool. If you've walked past one of the libraries and seen one of their gaming rooms, they recently redesigned a lot of them. So they have these really funky looking chairs and bright colors everywhere. And most of them have 2 TVs. So 2 different groups of people can be gaming at one time. And those are rentable in advance. Or you could walk in, and if there's an available room, you can access that. They have a Wii U, PlayStation 4 Pro, Xbox One S, and Nintendo Switch, along with an assortment of games that you can play.
That's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just in library, but I can see that being amazing for kids that live close to the library to be able to go over with a friend and game for an afternoon.
Yeah, because they have all the they have all the video games on the shelves that you can just be like, hey, I want this one, and this one, and then you're good to go.
Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have extra ones that are reserved for just that room that stay permanently there.
Yeah. Well, and if you want to try like a different console, like let's say you have like a Nintendo console at home, but you want to like try out what a PlayStation or Xbox feels like or whatever, then that would be, something that you could do. So it's pretty cool.
The last category that I have of a reason why you should have a library card is the library has a ton of programs. A really common one is they have a writer in residence all the time. And so that's someone that has office hours there that you can talk to about a writing project that you have or ask them for advice. They've had everything from poets to novelists. And it can be a really healthy resource if you're looking for someone to be able to chat with, a fellow writer.
That's cool.
They also have a lot of film viewings and book clubs that they put on quite regularly. A lot of them right now are over Zoom due to the pandemic, but in the future they'll go back to being in person. They have a ton of programs for kids and teens that are all free. They have legal assistance, open hours, and public speakers that they'll put on from time to time. They also put on some pretty cool one-time events. I remember this was a few years ago, but one of the library branches turned one of their meeting rooms into an escape room that you could use for free. They decorated the whole thing, and everyone was allowed to have bookings into their in-library escape room. I can see that being so much fun as a librarian, just given the product of make an escape room.
Yeah.
So I think they were trying that out as a trial to see how people felt about it. And I haven't seen them do it recently, but that might be due to the pandemic. Maybe they'll put on another escape room sometime soon.
Okay, you breezed past this one, but what was the legal, like a legal consultant or something?
Yeah, so they have open house legal aid and some courses that you can take specifically on writing a will or something like that. They'll put on classes and have drop-in clinics. So if there's something that you need some help with, there's specific hours posted on their website that you can access for legal help.
Pretty cool.
That's crazy.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
How do you find out about these events? Do they post them on Twitter or something?
They have a Facebook page that they keep pretty updated with all of their events, but they also put out a quarterly magazine that features all of the courses and programs and classes that they're going to have during that quarter. So you can plan in advance.
Gotcha. That's cool.
That's all I have for reasons why you should have a library card. I'm curious, what was something that you think you will use in the future from the library?
Well, I will definitely continue to use all of the audiobooks, and I might go through all of the ones that the library has. Because honestly, I do a lot of that. But I would be interested to pick up that quarterly magazine and see what kind of programs or events were happening, because like previously I've thought of the library as like something that happened or something that I did when I was a kid, you know, because I've always thought of them as connected with children's events or like drop-in stuff or whatever. And I think it would have been a good resource. Like even while I was in university, I used the library at the university, but it could have been a much better resource to do like a meeting room or something at a different library, because at the university they're always full.
Yeah.
So, or like a writing coach or something like that when I was writing a lot. But yeah, that I think I'd like to look into that magazine and then see if I can attend some stuff.
Yeah, it's available. Physical copies are available at the library, but they also have a digital copy online on their website.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for myself, I would say that I'm going to continue using it to borrow video games, because video games can be expensive.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it's an $80 guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you shell out $80 for a game that you don't end up really using. So it's good to like kind of test it out and see if it's something that's worth getting. And also, yeah, probably the writer in residence is something that I would maybe look into at some point if I have like some time set aside to actually write something, and get some pointers and help. So yeah.
There are a few things that piqued my interest. I don't know. I also, like Holly mentioned, associate it with my childhood more so than I associate it with being an adult going to the library. But so I can't say that there's anything that I will definitely do, but I'm keen to check out some stuff, even just to like use it once or twice for the novelty of it, like something like that recording room or the RPG game setup.
And I want to do that.
And I do want to look a little bit more into the audiobook stuff as well, because I use other services, but I could easily be using the library more for that. So I can't say I'd commit to it, but
totally.
It definitely intrigues me.
And I will continue to use the library for all sorts of purposes. I get a ton of ebooks out from the library. I have a Kobo, and so you can access the Overdrive through Kobo. And so the ebooks get directly downloaded onto there that I use all the time. And I loved my burning backpack. Oh, it brought me so much joy. Returning it yesterday, I handed it to the librarians, and I was like, I'm so sad to see this go.
And they were like, hey, well, we also have a dogging backpack.
Yeah.
Dogging.
I wish.
You can take
Just
a little
rent
picture
a
of
dog.
each dog you see. Rent a dog.
One of those little like Fujifilm Instamax Polaroid knockoff cameras, and you just have to take a photo of each dog that you see, and then you can keep them as a memento.
Gives you a little scrapbook that you can make.
Yeah.
You'd be such a creep, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least birds, they don't have an owner they have to deal with.
That we know about.
It's not like, and I generally, you don't have to ask their consent to follow them around with binoculars. So I would highly recommend everyone that's listening to this podcast, check out what your local library has to offer. Maybe you got some buttons that you really need made.
But not sewn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for listening. I'm just going to have a quick announcement. We are planning on taking a bit of a break until the fall. So in the meantime, I would highly recommend make sure you're subscribed on whatever platform you listen to our podcasts are on, because then our future podcasts will show up on your feed when they're available. And follow us on social media. We're on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So feel free to follow us there and get updates on when the next Housebound podcast will be. And who knows, by then we might not be housebound. We'll be house free.
But we'll still like to talk to each other.
Yes.